Hi, my name is Adrian Santos and I'm part of the EFPO team, and today I'll be showing our deployment and testing process that we're using. We're going to go over pulling the functional repository, setting up the dependencies using Docker Compose to set up Redis and the database, as well as the project structure. What we're going to do is pull the EFORT functional test repository that we have. You can find that under the EFORT project, right over here, EFORT-functional tests. Once you head in there, you can go ahead and press the clone button, switch over to HTTP, copy over the address, and wherever you find best, you can go ahead and run git clone, paste the address, and hit enter. I've already done that, however. The next item on the list is setting up dependencies on EFORT, so we'll go ahead and head over to that. As you can see, once you pull EFORT, you'll be able to see four main items under the repository: EFORT, functional, README, and SQL scripts. So first I'm going to talk a little bit about each one of them. EFORT is the folder in which you will pull the actual EFORT project to. Functional is the project in which we will be adding our test cases to, and those will then get tested against EFORT in our CI/CD pipeline. So under functional, you will have a setup folder. This is just configuration. You never really have to touch this section here. It just starts up the website and the API under this specific URL using their startup configurations. Java configuration is just a helper class in which you will it'll return the URL needed, as well as start up an instance of the Gecko driver that we're using to connect Selenium, or in this case Catalan, to Firefox. The WebDrivers here are just a list of the actual WebDrivers that are ran. So if you head on to UAT test login sunny, this is just a simple test that we'll be running against EFORT to demonstrate how it all works. So in order to test against EFORT, the first thing you're going to have to do is pull the actual EFORT project. So to do that, you can head over to Bitbucket, go to EFORT, go inside the EFORT Web API repo. Similarly, you can go ahead and clone HTTP, copy that over, and then you're going to do a git clone into EFORT. However, you're going to clone it inside the EFORT folder. Clones into the folder, you'll then see all the EFORT files. Of course, from here you can switch to the branch you're testing, because this will always pull down the develop branch. If you're testing a Spring branch, you can go ahead and pull down the Spring branch, and it'll work similarly. So there is some setup needed in order to get this running, and this is all listed in our repository. If you head on over to the functional test repo, in the README you have all the instructions on how to test locally, as well as the main four changes that you have to make to EFORT in order to connect EFORT to the web API and the database. So I'm going to go ahead and walk you guys through it. So the first thing is under the EFORTs folder. If you go ahead and go into app settings, you will see the service URL that is commented out. You can go ahead and turn that on and comment down the actual live service URL. The connection string as well has to change, and here I list what it has to be. I'm gonna go ahead and copy this and just paste it on here, and you're good to go with the app settings. The next step is to go into program.cs and switch this from HTTP S to just HTTP. Go ahead and save that as well. The next step is to go into the web API folder, app settings.json, comment out the live EFORT-DB, uncomment this one, and similarly you're gonna go ahead and paste the connection string that we use for EFORT, and just get rid of actual connection string. Once you do that, the last step is in program.cs. Similarly, we just get rid of the S from HTTPS. And once you do that, you're pretty much good to go in terms of setting up. The next step is setting up Redis and the local instance of the database using Docker Compose. In order to use Docker Compose, you will have to have Docker installed on your computer. It is free to download, so you may go ahead and do that now. But if you do have it already installed, it's very simple to use. And all it's doing is just setting up a virtual machine, which is forwarding a port of both Redis and an instance of the database that from your local machine you can access. And this is all done by itself. So inside the EFORT repository, you will see that there is another folder called SQL scripts. In here, there's another folder called MSSQL, and then you finally have the Docker Compose YAML file. So if you go ahead and go into a terminal inside that folder, so let's head on over to SQL scripts and then MySQL. You can then run Docker Compose up. This will then create an instance of Redis and the SQL that we created. This will most likely take a while for the first time you run it because it has to pull down both images, but after that it should be fairly quick to run. And do keep in mind that this database instance will get refreshed every time you start it up. So whatever changes you make while it's live, once you bring this Docker image down and bring it up again, it's essentially a new clean database. This running, you may go ahead and head on over to the actual functional folder in which you'll be able to run the tests. So right over here, I am inside the EFORT functional folder, which you have all your files as well as your tests, which should always go inside the test folder. You can set up the test folder however you want, but yeah, they do have to go in there. So once you're in here, you may go ahead and run .NET test, and this will run the automatic tests that will actually run in the CI/CD pipeline that we have. So as you can see, it brought up an instance of Firefox. It's gonna go ahead and press open account, in which then the only way that you can get to open account is by connecting to the web API, and as you can see that's working, and the only way to get the drop-down values is by connecting to the local database instance, which is working as well. And you can actually, if you head on over to the DB instance, you can see that EFORT DB was accessed. So you can actually run EFORT locally, so you can actually write the test cases. So in order to do that, you can go and head on over to EFORT, the EFORT folder again, as well as the web API. So here I have those open. So this is the EFORT folder, and this is the web API folder. So the first thing you're going to do is first run .NET build on web API. Web API should be on first before you run EFORT. Once you do that, you can go ahead and then do .NET run. The web API will begin listening on HTTP localhost 44308. Once you get that message, you can go ahead and head on over to EFORT and do similar steps. .NET build. This one will most likely take a little longer. Oh, I lied. And then .NET run. And as you can see, the server EFORT, the web API website started. So if you then go ahead and click on HTTP local, you're able to access the local instance of EFORT. And then in here, you can then begin writing or using Catalan. In this case, I believe it's not Selenium, Catalan right here. Then you can begin doing your testings. And if you go to open account, you will see that it actually connects to the database again. And you can access everything. One last thing before I finish the video is I kind of want to explain how we have the EFORT repo set up. As you already saw, we have functional, MySQL, and the EFORT folder. And the way this all connects to the actual EFORT project is that whatever test cases, whatever test files are in the master branch will actually get tested against EFORT. So if, for example, you have 50 tests under a different branch, they will not actually run against EFORT, only the ones that are masters. This is so that, let's say you're testing yourself to make sure that your test cases work on Bamboo, they won't affect the actual EFORT testing until you actually merge to master.